So, did you know that Onyx recently posted new month, new news? What do they mean by that? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go over some hypothetical scenarios, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. But first things first, let's just think about this. Onyx recently had a new listing, right? Which of course is Upbit. Then we saw another listing when it comes to Aster. That was massive. But imagine if they're seeing new month, new news. Imagine if there was, let's say, another hypothetical upcoming listing. Hoo, hoo, hoo. That would be pretty cool, right? Because that would be like a trifecta right there. We saw Upbit, we saw Aster, and who knows, maybe another listing? That would be pretty impressive. We're beginning to kind of see, I guess, I think some exchanges out there taking a look at something like Onyx, which granted, people like to say, oh, the listings are not good. Well, let's think about this. Upbit is really massive. Aster is also really massive. So imagine if they're saying new month, new news, and maybe it's another listing. That would be a pretty fantastic start, actually, to the first half of 2026, fundamentally. Not in terms of the charts, because it's still down by quite a lot when compared to last year, but I'm just saying, in terms of the actual fundamentals, in terms of better exposure, I don't know why it would have a bad start, actually, if, let's say, it could actually have another listing. And of course, I'm talking about the start in regard to the first half of 2026. But of course, we don't know, right? Because they haven't made any sort of confirmation in regard to this. So it's all just purely guessing. But Onyx, they like to play these sort of mind games, I feel like, right? Where they like to make, I guess, the community sort of anticipate things, maybe question things, maybe analyze things. But you know what? I'd rather have them do that than not update at all. Some other projects out there, they don't update at all, which is so bizarre. Like, seriously, how much effort does it really take to make a post? I mean, come on. I just don't get it. But you know what? To each their own. I do like the updates that I'm seeing when it comes to Onyx. Now, granted, though, people like to say, but, with all those new listings we saw, Onyx is still around a 200 million market cap. True. But we have to consider what happens if the market sentiment were to change, because Onyx's listings right now, I think, are a lot better than last year. Last year, we saw around a billion in terms of market cap. That's the thing. It was able to do that last year. What happened if the market sentiment returned back to where it once was, yet with better listings? That's the thing. If it maybe surpassed what it did last year, hypothetically speaking, I guess it wouldn't surprise me. But besides that, there's another scenario, though, which I feel like maybe I can analyze and surmise, I suppose, in terms of what new news they could be announcing this month. Now, I think if, let's say, we ignore a hypothetical new listing, if, let's say, we just kind of focus on maybe either the wallet or maybe we focus on the app or whatever, or let's say in the case of Goliath. Now, if it's like a update in regard to that, I would say that first of all, I would be more excited about a Goliath update because, of course, Goliath, very massive thing, I think, when it comes to Onyx. Come on, it's a layer one blockchain, right? I think it was a big accomplishment launching the mainnet of that. So if they have an update regarding that, that's a big thumbs up for me. Now, number two, in terms of the second ranking, I would say that the app probably, okay, that would be a pretty okay, I guess, news if they did announce an update or whatever when it comes to that. The one I would not be so excited about would probably be the wallet. I mean, like, okay, all right, if they announce something else when it comes to that. But yeah, those are the kind of categories, right? I'd be the most ever excited, I guess, if there was a new listing. Second of all, it would have to be Goliath if I were to rank my excitedness, I would say, right? Now, number three, again, it would probably be the app. Number four is like the wallet, but whatever, right? I mean, it could maybe have those four possibilities, but who knows? We'll wait and see. But nonetheless, though, when it comes to Onyx, I feel like the fundamentals are already there. I mean, what else are they supposed to do? They're already focused on global trading finance. They already launched Goliath in terms of the mainnet. Like, what else? You know what I mean? Like, some people like to say, Onyx needs to improve. Well, improve what, really, at this point? Now, I'm sure they could still improve, and I think they'll probably still try to, but at the same time, release what new thing? They already released the mainnet of Goliath this year. That's really massive. So do what, really? Now, if they're saying that the charts haven't improved, I mean, that's beyond Onyx's fundamentals, right? Onyx can't control the market. What are they going to do? Wave some magic wand like Harry Potter and demand this and that or whatever? No, it doesn't work that way, in my opinion. So if I already like the fundamentals, I'm going to wait. Now, the thing is, Onyx really doing anything significant, maybe in a pure hypothetical, it's probably going to have to depend on a larger change in market sentiment. But that requires me just waiting because the market is going to do its thing whenever it wants to. It has no input from me. So when I take a look at Onyx, when people like to say, oh, it sucks and all this, I mean, it's going to be dependent on a case-by-case basis, but I like the fundamentals so far. That's just my perspective. And also, let's take a look at, for instance, when it comes to Onyx, people like to say that, who really cares about a project out there that's focused on global trade finance? They say there's a lot. Well, okay, that's true to a certain extent, but we don't really see that many that are that popular. And let's just think about this, right? If I asked a lot of my friends out there, hey, name a couple projects that are focused on the global trade and finance space, a lot of them would probably only name two, which is Ripple and Stellar. And that's like primarily speaking, right? A lot of people would just kind of mention that. Now, if someone is probably a little bit more kind of in the know when it comes to this space, probably they'd mention like XDC, but sometimes it just stops right there. A lot of people out there don't mention Zebic. A lot of people out there don't mention Onyx. A lot of people out there don't mention XPR or Swiftcoin. But even if we take a look at that to a broader extent, maybe someone mentions like Canton, like, the Canton network, maybe someone mentions that. Okay, let's just assume like 8. That's not that many. It's not like many people out there know 20 or 30 that are that popular within this space, because I just think that simply doesn't exist as of right now. Like if I just take a look at it purely from a kind of popularity standpoint of view, within the global trade and finance space, yes, there's a lot of projects, but there's just pretty much like 8 that are popular. And most people out of those 8 can only name 2, more or less, right? Or maybe 3 if they want to mention something else other than Ripple or Stellar and they say XDC. So it's not like Onyx is under such massive competition like that. I mean, it has strong competitors, but it doesn't have the quantity, right? It has the quality, like for instance, Stellar, Ripple, XDC, Zebic, they have some solid fundamentals, some people would arguably say, but that's not the quantity, right? Having just those few competitors does not mean that it has a lot. So when I take a look at that right there, am I thinking that Onyx is cooked? Well, I would think it is cooked if, let's say, there was like 20 or 30 different projects out there that kind of were Zebic archetypes, or let's say XDC archetypes, where they have those fundamentals and that presence. Yeah, at that point, Onyx would be cooked, but that doesn't exist. That scenario is not there as of right now. Onyx just simply doesn't have that many competitors, which I think may have been a blessing in disguise, because now it just doesn't have too many to compete with. So what happens if the attention comes back during, let's say, a hypothetical altcoin season, or maybe it comes back when the market sentiment were to change? If that were to happen, there just simply isn't that many projects that are that popular to begin with. Less options, and yet there is more attention. That attention is going to be concentrated more towards the few that are popular. Arguably, we've seen that in some cases. It's like, for instance, remember back in 2021, and I'm going to use a meme as an example, which I get it. It's a different example when it comes to this, but I'm just using it because a lot of people know what it is. So I'm just going to use this as an example. In 2021, once that, I guess meme season, right? Once a lot of people really cared about that, there was pretty much 2 projects that received a lot of that attention because there just simply wasn't that many around. In which case, in 2021, we saw Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. Now, this year, this time around, there's of course more of the competitors when compared to before, but I'm just saying at that time, there wasn't that many competitors. There wasn't that many options. It kind of reminds me a little bit to a certain extent when it comes to the global trade and finance space within this particular space. And Onyx, coincidentally, is focused on that space. So is that a bad thing that it doesn't have that many competitors? I don't think so. I think if anything, it's actually a net positive for it moving forward, and even especially as of right now. But even besides that, yes, Onyx still hasn't been doing the best, but we'll wait and see what happens. I just recently saw Bitcoin reach 80 grand. I mean, we'll wait and see. It would be awesome though if it could maintain that and maybe go to 90 or 100. We'll wait and see though. But I'll be sure to document my journey along the way, and I'll keep everyone posted as to what I'm doing when it comes to Onyx and just whatever news or updates come out when it comes to this. So hopefully you all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace. Bye.